Right, and we're live again. Annual Inside the War Room, NFL UK, whatever you want to call it, with our 2015 draft preview. What was that?
I said we talk a lot of crap.
Top takes, then.
Yep,
Oh, Freddie's gone.
Enough for Freddie already.
He's had enough.
He can't talk. Yeah, he started. He's had enough.
Any talk of draft in Cleveland, and he goes. Right, so yeah, we can do the first round mock. Is there anything anyone wants to discuss before we get going, while we wait for Freddie?
I'm sure we'll all have some hot Jim White takes as we go on.
Yo, let's get our yellow ties on.
Yeah, Jim White.
I might need to wear a tie tomorrow. I might wear a yellow tie just to pay homage to the great man.
Don't ever refer to him as a great man.
You love White. That NFL transfer deadline day special.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That lasts for 3 days.
It's not even anyway.
Even then we have free agency.
Well, Freddie was saying earlier, he was saying, of course, a lot of these young lads, it's their big dream to play at Wembley.
Fuck's sake, Jim White.
Right, 2015 Inside the War Room mock, the first pick. Anyone want it? Right, we got Tampa.
James Winston's going number 1. That's all but sealed now.
Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. James Winston,
Unless he steals a crab leg on draft day.
quarterback frenzy. Right, Freddie. Tampa Bay on the clock. Grant is in place. The third overall pick.
What am I picking number 2 for Titans then?
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be a trade. Because, I mean, it's got to be Mariota, but he doesn't fit Wisenhunt's scheme at all. And, I mean, I know there've been reports that they like Mettenberger, but I mean, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback personally. Maybe they do. I'll pick Mariota just because I think he will probably go in this position, and the Titans could still pick him, but I don't think they do want him. But I think he's going to go here, so I'll pick Mariota.
I still think that they're still smarting from the fact that Jameis Winston's had the rise that he has. I think they were thinking all along, this is going to be great. Mariota's going to go number 1 to Lovie Smith. That suits what they do very well. Bucks like high character guys, and they're going to end up with Jameis Winston, who is the perfect kind of Ken Wisenhunt quarterback. He's shown that he can mold people. He's okay with a bit of attitude and a bit of aggression there, and that's what Jameis brings really. And I still think that they're smarting at the fact that they're going to miss out on that.
And I mean, if I was the Titans, I would have absolutely no problems with picking Mariota. I would run up to the podium as soon as possible and take him. But people inside the franchise thing, and there seems to be all these reports coming out that they're not convinced by it.
I think the biggest question with Tennessee is, are they the most sad franchise other than the Browns? There just does not seem to be a lot of hope in Tennessee at all. I mean,
I think they're a lot more sad than the Browns. They, at least the Browns keep on trying.
I suppose at least the Browns have that sort of comedic element to them. Tennessee,
there's
nondescript.
Interesting things, a sort of comedy show, but Tennessee's just boring crap.
Yeah, Titans fun. Titans exciting is Nashville. Vanderbilt's are worse than them. Sad.
Well, in Seattle, it was Ruston Webster or John Schneider. So
Oh, dodged the bullet.
I think we went the right way on that one.
Yeah, you think?
Right, Grant, you're on the clock.
Uh,
Jacksonville Jaguars.
as much as it pains me to do it, I think the obvious pick for the Jags is Vic Beasley. Just seems a perfect fit in the Gus Bradley defense. So I'd much prefer him to drop to 8, but Beasley to the Jags makes far too much sense. But Dave Caldwell is known for doing strange things on draft day, so who knows? Maybe they go Gurley.
There's a lot of rumours out there at the moment that they're high on Leonard Williams, that they're thinking about just going interior again, which seems bonkers because that's the one piece you don't really think they need to upgrade.
Well, I don't really understand where Williams would fit in the
exactly.
Jags line. And Derek Marks is the perfect 3 technique.
Absolutely. So what are you going to do? You're going to, I mean, you shift Alu out of there? I mean, I don't really quite. I mean, just giving him a contract, it just doesn't make a lick of sense to me. But as you say, the Jags don't necessarily make sense that often.
No, I think the only position on that defense that it makes sense is just as a base end, but you don't draft just a guy who's going to stop the run from left end or whatever in number 3 overall.
Yeah, because they released Red Bryant, didn't they? So they've got that big body kind of. Do you think they go? Do you think they look at the receivers?
No, I don't think they do. They've got a pretty good, solid core.
Yeah, they've got 3 second-year guys, haven't they?
Yeah.
And it's so deep. You'd think they might probably try and pick a guy up, in the mid round somewhere. I mean, you're probably going to get second, third round, the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah, you'd hope that Robinson and Lee are the 1 and 2 for the next 5 years or so. I mean, it's a shame that Justin Blackman's completely out of the league now.
Yeah.
Now just a fat man that goes to casinos.
He's messed up again, isn't he?
Did he fail another test or something?
I saw something like a few weeks ago. I don't know if it was just unconfirmed.
No, I just saw that he just a bit fat now. Not really looks like he's ready to come back in the league at all.
Basically, the Mercedes Lewis at the league.
Yeah, I think speaking of Mercedes Lewis, bringing in a sort of dynamic tight end might be something they look to do if they do want to sort of add weapons for Bolton's early. I think someone like Max Williams is probably going to be around there at the top of the second. They might go in that direction.
Well, Martellus Bennett is available apparently.
Well, yeah, I saw that.
You still talking about the Jags?
Yeah, I'm just talking about tight ends.
Oh, they got Julius and Lewis. That should be a decent
combo. Of course, they got. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Come on, lads.
Pay attention.
It's been a while.
Right, let's move on. Oakland.
Yeah, move on. I stopped for that.
Moving swiftly on.
Just win, baby.
Lot of crazy things I can do with this one.
It'd all make perfect sense.
Absolutely. So I'm obviously looking down at a sort of Jeff Hyman bringing a tight end down there. I mean, the Raiders could go in a couple of different directions. If Leonard Williams is still there, you've got to think he's the pick. The question is, how do you rate a guy like Amari Cooper over some of the guys that will be there in the second round? I mean, they desperately need help at wide receiver, but they also need to shore up that defensive line. I'm going to go Leonard Williams because I think you're still going to get a reasonably interesting prospect who can come in and help in the second round. So I'm going to take Leonard Williams.
I think they think about trade with Williams on board, or do you think it's just?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's quite likely that it obviously depends on how the rest of the board's falling, but if there is still sort of premium pass rushers floating around, Yeah, I think that there will be a market from some teams looking to trade up, whether that's whether it's the Jets, whether it's Atlanta, potentially whether it's the Giants. I don't think we will be moving anywhere, but there is that possibility, and if you drop down bottom half of the top 10, maybe the Rams, somewhere like that, you are still going to get one of those top 3 premium wide receivers at that stage.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Junaid, do you want to be put on the clock now? No, I think
the Redskins get a number away.
I think the trade. I think they trade out not too far, but I think they need to fill that roster somehow. They haven't got many picks, I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they do stay, I expect them to take. If Leonard Williams is not there, Dan Shelton's too high at number 5, and if one of the wide receivers are there, I think they'll take one of them.
I think I could see the Redskins probably, like you say, trading back, maybe to get Scherf a little bit later. I think if the Falcons are looking to trade up, the Redskins are probably an ideal partner, to be honest. Leaves the Redskins just in front of the Giants, who've been rumoured to be interested in Scherf, and the Falcons would still be in for a good shot at a pass rusher there.
Yeah. So who are you picking, do you know?
I think Brandon Sheriff, if they can get him, but it's probably too high. If they can move back, they'll take him because they need a tackle big time. Then you got Williams at left. So Brandon Sheriff at 5.
Cool. Right, and I've got Chicago. Chicago? No, Jets. Oh, jeez. Jets.
Come on, man.
Sorry?
You're meant to be the organised one here.
I've got it here, but it wasn't when I was on. The Jets is far too early for a quarterback. I think they might actually give Gino another go. Shelton's depends what they do with Wilkinson. Do you think Shelton probably too? But O-line, unsure if it's that much of a need, so I'm going to go Dante Fowler, edge from Florida, the 5.
I think edge is the way the Jets are probably going to go if they don't decide to go for Mariota. If he drops, I mean, obviously he hasn't an air mark, but I think edge is the primary need for them. I mean, I know Bowles manufactures pressure with scheme, but they don't really seem to have anyone other than Copels, who's been a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, well, I just think if they had that, if Wilkinson sticks around, they've got Richardson as well, and that's just with all the DBs they've got and Bowles. The way Bowles sets his defenses up as well. If they put Fowler in that mix, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a nice wee piece to have in there, and that division's only getting stronger in terms of the defense as well, and it's turning into a real fun division to watch.
Yeah, I think all 3, Miami, Jets, and Buffalo. It's a weird thing to say about the Super Bowl champs, but I think they've all closed the gap on the Patriots.
Yeah, and I don't think the Patriots have really done too much. I mean, they never do. But that's you can't really comment on that. But yeah, it seems like they've maybe taken their foot off the pedal a bit, whereas the others have really stepped it up. It's I think it's going to be a really competitive division next year. I think it's going to be quite good.
Yeah. Right, number 7, Freddie, back on the clock.
Well, seeing as he's fallen, I think I'll go Amari Cooper. They traded away Brandon Marshall. I think that they need someone opposite Alshon Jeffrey. I think at the moment they've got Eddie Royal there. So yeah, I think it's got to be Cooper if he falls here.
Didn't Royal get a fairly sizable contract as well for somebody of his skill set? 16, 17 million or something like that.
It was quite a big deal, wasn't it?
I don't know. So who have they got? They just got Royal and Jeffrey in Chicago.
Marcus Wilson as well, if you're that way inclined.
Yeah.
I think they've got Josh Bellamy and someone else as well. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
It's pretty thin.
Yeah. Especially if they're trading Bennett as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So is Cooper your number one over White then, Freddie? Is he or?
Yeah, he's definitely my number one over two. I just think he's just a much better prospect.
Yeah, I'd have him over as well. But, I mean, I can see why people would want Kevin White because I think he, potentially he could offer more if you think you can coach him up and just iron out those little details. Then maybe he's got bigger upside. But yeah, I'd have Cooper ahead of him. Yeah.
No, I think I'm in team Kevin White. I think White is an option for Oakland at 4 because I just think he's an absolute playmaker. I think.
I'm not. I mean, he takes the top off a defense quite happily. That's a massive skill he's got. But for me, he's.
But just everything. Yeah, but the thing with Cooper is that he does everything really well. He's polished and everything, whereas White's probably a bit more raw in certain aspects.
Oh, absolutely. Like White after the catch, I just think really needs to make some work. I think he chose some decision there that just, I think that's going to drive some coaches wild. Whereas, yeah, I think Cooper, you are drafting for talent over upside in that situation.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cooper. It's from Alabama, right? Alabama.
Yeah. Who was the quarterback for White? Is he
playing cricket? He retired from football.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to play for Jimbo Fisher.
Right, Grant. The stage is yours.
Shane Ray, move on.
For me, I'd want to go Randy Gregory, to be honest. I think Gregory's my favourite pick in the draft for the Falcons, but with obviously the off-the-field concerns, I don't think they're going to go for Gregory, even though the Falcons' filter, as it were, is somewhat lifted. So I think the pick would probably end up being Bud Dupree, because I'm all about measurables now, because I can just look those up on the internet. Bud Dupree's spiderweb is incredibly large. The few games I watched of Dupree, I didn't really like him, but you have to love those physical tools, and if anyone's going to get the best out of them, Dan Quinn's the man for that. So for me, I think Dupree makes sense there.
You're taking the fourth player here. Is the fourth player a bit risky?
I know we're mocking the fourth player stuff and whatnot, but some of that's quite interesting. I mean,
the spark stuff is fascinating.
The explosion that Dupree has is like the best anyone's had since 1999. So I think that's the kind of like upside that it would be interesting for Quinn. And Dupree's a solid run defender as well. So I think he's probably the one of Beasley, Gregory, and himself that could actually play against the run early on in the NFL as well as being a threat off the edge.
Yeah, I think in the mock I did last week, I had Dupree to the Falcons for pretty much all those reasons. I think Dan Quinn working with him would be it would get results quickly. I think because Dan Quinn is just
The Falcons have taken a force player at number 8 overall from defensive end before, and he was quite literally the only one on that list that wasn't any good. Jamal Anderson was the exception to the rule, and in terms of size, quite similar to Dupree.
Didn't Anderson take part in the veteran combine?
Yeah, he did.
Did he get anything?
No. The Falcons are signing Adam Carricker from the veteran combine.
Yeah, I saw that picture. He's pretty.
He's a huge man.
Yeah, he's still looking.
He's not that old either, Carricker, so I think just the veteran presence inside, that'd be nice.
Well, he was in the same draft as well, wasn't he? He was in 2007.
Yeah, I think he was one of the ones that they considered instead of Anderson. Get the whole 07 draft back together.
Brady Quinn was there as well, of course.
Brady Quinn, get Ted Ginn.
Yeah, when it was Miami, was it number 6 or something it was, Ginn? Earlier than that?
9, I think. That's not the first draft I remember watching.
Yes.
Can we get a bit of Levi Brown going?
James? New York Times?
Brown.
Is it me?
9th overall.
9 Giants. Well,
Yeah,
I would have gone Bud Dupree as well. I think he's a quality run stuffer, raw talent as a pass rusher. But there's definitely, as Grant was saying, just explosive. It's something to be moulded, and Spags is the kind of guy that's capable of doing that. But with him off the board and Scherf off the board, I'm sort of left without any of what I'd call my fancy players. That's my version of force players, which is just the players I like. And I'm still to come up with some metrics to go with it, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. In which case, I'll go for my number one fancy player left on the board, which is Lael Collins, offensive tackle, LSU. Big guy, moves well for a big guy. Good pedigree. He can be overwhelmed at times, but I think he's got instant starting talent as probably a right guard, right tackle. Kick Justin Pugh inside to guard. If that doesn't work out, switch him back again. I think he's got that kind of versatility. He instantly shores things up for the Giants, and for me, it was a case of that, or looking at what's left on the board, probably Randy Gregory. But those off-field concerns for a top 10 pick just seem a little rich for me.
Did you see Peter King's report about Collins? Yesterday or today.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's nothing.
It's. I put something on Twitter last night. It seems like the kind of thing that teams sort of in that sort of Detroit, Cincinnati range are desperate to try and get out there, just to try and knock his value down. That only makes me want him more. It makes if teams are really pushing that. Peter King's not throwing that stuff out just off his own back. Not 48 hours off the draft. It seems like something and nothing. I mean, it's all very sad, and but it's clearly nothing to do with him. The police seem to have statements for where he is, whereabouts he was. It's some stuff and nothing. So yeah, I don't think that should be clouding anyone's judgment.
Right, Junaid, number 10, Rams.
Yeah, I'm taking Roger Sterling here. The St. Louis are a bit boring. They take Roger Sterling at number 10. No, I'll take Kevin White. The best on the board. They need a number 1 wide receiver. It's the most logical sense here. They need someone with Nick Foles.
Yeah, Nick Foles. But they seem to like Kenny Britt a fair bit in St. Louis.
They got Kenny Britt and that's it.
Yeah.
I quite like the Rams receiving core, to be honest. Stephen Bailey's pretty good. Came on a little bit last year.
Bailey's really.
I think it's quite hard to judge them as a core when Sean Hill was the quarterback for most of last year.
Yeah. Now they've got Foles, unless they.
I think they might have been better off keeping Sean Hill, to be honest. They should have just done what we said this time last year and drafted Bridgewater.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's still like quite. Talking Minnesota, number 11.
Who's number 11?
It's pretty. I think cornerback, Waynes or Peters. Peters is my number 1 cornerback now. I think he's watching him at Washington was. He just did everything like with Cooper. He just does everything really well. I think and then for some reason
Except
he didn't like Peterson, or he didn't get on, and it exploded, and the defense suffered a little bit after he went because they were playing wide receivers at cornerback for the last couple of weeks of the season. So they could go corner here. Don't think they go defensive line. They don't need a linebacker, wide receiver. Give Bridgewater a weapon.
Do you think they consider going offensive line?
They could do, but I think they'd probably wait until the second round, and maybe because I think Collins is someone they could put inside for a year, and if Khalil doesn't improve, then they can move him outside.
What the hell happened to him last year?
Khalil just basically die.
So I think I'm gonna go and give Teddy his weapon. Devontae Parker, wide receiver.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense pairing him back up with Bridgewater there. That's that seems to make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think corner's the other option, but for me, it's still a little bit high for both of the corners at this stage. Marcus Peters looks like he's probably the number one corner at the moment. I wouldn't touch him in the first round. I just don't. I think he just brings too many headaches. And I mean, he's definitely the most explosive. He's definitely the best impressed man. But I think a lot of people are putting a lot of faith in that game against ASU where he basically just destroyed Jalen Strong, and you just think, well, yeah, okay, that's one game, and he was just a complete bully in that game. It was it was a phenomenal performance, but yeah, is it really worth the risk? I mean, I think Trey Wayne's equally good, equally good in some aspects of man coverage, less so impressed, but what you get in there as a player who isn't nearly the same sort of headache as you are with Peters. Who's next?
12. Freddie. If Freddie's alive.
Freddie. There he is.
Yay!
Well, I was going to have a dilemma here if Parker wasn't gone, but seeing as he went with the last pick, I think it has to be Shelton, really, because we were absolutely atrocious against the run. Rubin's gone. Phil Taylor is supremely overrated now.
What a trade!
So
We've lost the commissioner, and Freddie's gone silent.
no, I'm here.
Oh, he is here.
Yeah.
I think Freddie's camera's just dead. It's just a picture of him throwing his arms up in the air. It's quite apt, really.
That's reaction tomorrow.
Yeah, it would happen on Cleveland's pick, wouldn't it?
It's gonna happen tomorrow, just like that. The commissioner's gone. He's had enough of that.
Right, I'll take over the reins briefly. Grant, you're up at 13.
Who's picking at 13? I don't know the draft order.
At 13.
Let me check.
It's
The Saints.
Yes. Let's pick Shane Ray. Oh, I don't really know for the Saints, to be honest. Considering they've decided to randomly embark on a youth movement, despite the fact Breeze is still alive, pass rush is the obvious need. I don't know if they'd want to gamble on someone like Gregory this early. It makes sense to me. To be fair, there's quite a lot of needs on that team now.
Yeah.
If one of the big three receivers had dropped, I'd have taken them, to be honest. They need a spark in the passing game. Now Jimmy Graham's gone. Chelsea have scored.
Yeah, boy.
I'm tempted to maybe go cornerback here as well. I know they've just invested in Stanley Jean-Baptiste, but he was barely active all of last year.
Yeah, I think you take a risk if you're relying on Jean-Baptiste for a whole year, aren't you?
I'm going to go for Marcus Peters then. I think
Easy.
the Saints need a cornerback. I think this cornerback class is a much of a muchness, really. There's I think it's tricky to pick a guy that you could really go to bat for me anyway. I thought I'd like Kevin Johnson after what I'd read about him, but what I saw of him, I wasn't too impressed, to be honest, and I'm quite wary of Wake Forest products now.
I mean, I think it was part of the problem. He was on a terrible team, but he does look very slight. I think seems to be.
He does look slight. He just looks like he played a lot of very deep off coverage.
Yeah.
And he seemed to struggle when he got turned around, which obviously is going to happen in the NFL.
Well, he's another one that I wonder. I think there's, apart from Waynes and Peters, I think a lot of the sort of top corners, I'll throw in sort of Byron Jones and that as well as, I think their best position might actually be at safety at the end of the day. And I think I'm actually more comfortable with the idea of Kevin Johnson as a safety as him as a corner.
I don't know. Peters
Clearly not going to play in the box. He's clearly going to be more conventional, shell cover 2 corner. But yeah,
the Peters off-field stuff is troubling as well. Like Clark Washington and all that.
Yeah, I think Sean Payton's been quite keen on taking guys that have had character concerns. I forgot they signed Brendan Browner, to be honest, but if you have someone like that coming in the first round, I think that's a good mentor for him. I can't see Browner being long for this league anyway after this season.
No, exactly. Yeah, and Peters is the kind of guy that might need a year sort of learning to develop and to grow up a bit. And it's not Sean Payton's not the kind of coach that you're going to want to fall out with regularly. So that sort of bodes well for him, I guess.
Oh, the Saints signed Kyle Wilson. I missed that one. And they're just signing people that may have been good a few years ago. That's stuff I like to see.
Very much the Alex McLeish approach to football.
I'm hoping the Saints should have a really good secondary, but God bless you, Rob Ryan.
Well, that's the other thing with Peters. I mean, is he really going to fall out with Rob Ryan as well? I mean, he's a guy who's fallen out with coaches. So there is that. There is potentially some other stuff floating around as well, but. It's not the kind of coaching staff you are gonna stand up to lightly and say, that's not how it's going to
be. Yeah. 14.
James.
Is
James.
me.
Yeah.
Well, it's either positional value or sorry, it's either position of need or best player available. Best player available by far is Todd Gurley. Don't really need Todd Gurley. Would be the issue with that. But I mean, frankly, looking at what's left, the other option would probably be a guy like Trey Waynes at corner.
See, I saw a mock last week where this is DGB.
Yeah, well, it's again, I'm high for a guy with massive character issues again.
Like Ian Jordan get suspended for a season.
Yeah.
And going and sticking him at South Beach just seems like, it's just asking for trouble. It's like Jameis Winston ending up in Tampa. Ideally teams looking for wide receivers sort of further down the draft. Maybe Cleveland look and try and pick him up later on at sort of 19 or something. Go and stick him somewhere where he can get into minimal trouble, or if he does get into trouble, at least the press aren't going to be right on top of it. So yeah, I'm not all over that. I am gonna go with Trey Waynes. He's the second player on my board. He probably feels a slightly more of a need than Gurley. He's probably not the same level of talent, but he's a quality quarterback. You're in a division with Tom Brady. It sort of makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've only really got Grimes, haven't they, as well?
Well, exactly. Yeah, they're a bit thin on the ground there as well. So it's you're getting a player who can definitely come in day one and contribute.
Yeah, they're reaping the benefits of those tremendous Jeff Island drafts. Will Davis, Jamar Taylor, second and third round picks. Neither of them have worked out at all. I always remember people saying Jamar Taylor was better than Desmond Trufant heading into that draft. Not the case. Not the case.
Trufant could be one of the best players from that draft class, couldn't he?
Trufant is like top 3 from that class.
Uh-huh.
Him and Le'Veon.
Maybe true.
It's just a truly, truly awful class.
Yeah, it was just a real sack of shit.
This year's class might be similar to that. I mean, after you get at the top 9, 10 players, it gets a bit much of a muchness.
Yeah, I've got quite a few players in that sort of second round. I've worked out. I've got 19 with first round grades at the moment, which is less than normal. But then there's quite a big swathe of players that I'd consider sort of first to second round players there. So I think that middle bit, there is a sort of creamy middle with it. It's really that once you get off the elite talent, there's very little elite talent in this draft. There's only maybe 3 or 4 guys, and then there is a huge drop off. But then I don't think the drop off from there until sort of like the 50th player, 60th player is that big actually.
What a year to have 2 picks, 12 and 19. The real sweet spot of the draft.
Yeah, well, there's a few GMs that come out, isn't there? I think Spielman said the other day that there's 15, 16 first, like he said, 15, 16 first round grades, and that's it. I mean, obviously, Spielman saying that they're obviously in that 16, they're in that top 16, obviously. So, but it's pretty. There's players going to go from like 20 to 32 who last year, just say, would not be top 50 probably. Junaid, 15.
Junaid putting up a shelf.
Yeah.
No,
It's running repair.
my desk is coming out, so I have to hammer it back in. It's coming out. The whole thing's like falling apart.
Live DIY.
We've reached the pinnacle, gents.
No days off. Hammer away. Keep hammering away.
Junaid, do you want to build a draft stage? You're on the clock, mate.
Who am I? The 49ers? I'm officially retired from the NFL. Goodbye. I'll take Eric Hendricks here.
Wow.
They need inside linebacker. He's the best one in the NFL in this draft. They need defensive help big time. I'll take a wide receiver. Philip Dorsett's too high to take here. The only other player I would take is Malcolm Brown. Is the only other player. Actually, my 3 best players, I'll take Hendricks. He's the best player.
What about Armstead?
I'm not really a fan of his. I actually have no clue where you play him.
Well, I think Armstead, you put him in Justin Smith, where Justin Smith plays.
Does Armstead come in and back up Lawrence Okoye straight away?
Oh, don't mess with him. He's from Britain. The British invasion.
Leave him alone.
Okoye is
How is he even
the one that's got Tom Sula a promotion, isn't it? The great work he's done with him.
Well, not only is he still there, he's now on the active roster. He's not even on the, he's not even practice squad fodder. He's gonna. I
can't wait. I can't wait for the 4-part documentary on Sky Sports this season.
Him, or Jay, then probably saw Andrew Luck's holiday here one year.
A British woman.
A tremendous interview with Menelik Watson, the most eloquent man in his own house.
Tell you what, I saw. I went to the NFL UK forum with Okoye, Watson, and Beckham Jr. I mean, obviously, I know Beckham Jr. was, it's just great to be in the presence of a future Pro Bowler, a future Hall of Famer. But Watson was by far and away the most animated. He was actually really, I went there fully skeptical, and he was thoroughly engaging. He was a really, really nice guy, and just he was a lot more open. I mean, it says a lot for the Niners and the Giants press officers that their players are so much more polished when it comes to answering questions, even sort of fan questions from the floor. Whereas Watson was there, he was effing and jeffing, he was, talking about his brother who's in prison. I mean, it was very candid, a very open sort of interview. It was actually really engaging. I completely flipped my opinion on him after that.
Lawrence Okoye gets all the heat there.
Okoye was he might as well have been there, frankly. I mean, it's a bit like his presence in San Francisco. It's just a complete.
Did he say what the official was?
The week there was a team that they turned up and for some reason they refused to play. But the referee made them take play.
Jim White.
Have we got another guest on the podcast?
No, just right. So you go Kendrick, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, what about cornerback? Because aren't they studying Sharice Wright at the moment?
I think they're struggling in like every level of that team, really.
Yeah, the whole defense is just retired. Justin Smith hasn't decided. They've got their tight ends coach is their new DC, I think, or something like that.
I think it's. I'm working on the assumption Justin Smith isn't retiring. It would be a real asshole move to retire sort of now, unless obviously he might have told the Niners that he is retiring. But to retire after the draft would be a real dickhead move.
Yeah, I think it is because it's like Kevin Williams as well. Seattle is still waiting to hear from him, but last year he didn't decide until July, so he's like Brett Favre.
Smith actually did retire, didn't he? Apparently.
Did he formally retire?
According to the PFT article I've got in front of me, and Florio never lies.
So,
when was that?
That's dated March the 9th.
Oh, wow.
Why are people still saying if he retires?
It might be wrong.
Yeah, no, trust Florio, that's why.
Yeah.
The people, one I always just like, hands down, yeah, that's happened. Jay Glazer is the best one there is. He doesn't say a lot, but when he says it, it's normally on the spot on.
I used to get really excited when I saw a Jay Glazer tweet. Then he announced the Falcons signed Ray Edwards, and subsequently, it's just a harbinger for bad news.
Right, 16, Houston Texans. With them trying to trade Swearinger quite wisely, I think. I do not understand how he's lasted this long, to be honest. Not a fan at all. So I think they could go Collins here. It's probably a little early, but if they do get rid of Swearinger, they've got no one after that, I don't think. Wide receiver, they could go wide receiver, but don't really like Strong here. DGB's got all the issues. So I think I'm just going to hope they trade Swearinger and go Landon Collins, Alabama.
I think you're just swapping the same problems with Collins for Swearinger for Collins, though. You're getting a safety that, should be okay against the run, but can't really cover very well. I mean, Swearinger didn't look particularly good against the run last year either. But I mean, you're not getting a cover corner if you're drafting Landon Collins. He is more linebacker than safety for me.
I think my main issue with Swearinger is more the attitude, really. Like, he has no sense of just making a tackle. It's always highlight reel play, and he just generally seems like a bit of a dick, to be honest.
He is there, Charlie Adam.
What's the Washington player?
Merriweather.
Safety. Yeah, he's a new version of him.
Is it
2.0? I think they cut him this season. I think he's been cut.
Yeah, but I think Collins, because if obviously they haven't got Andre anymore, so wide receiver. They got DeAndre and Cecil Shorts was quite a nice little pickup, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a nifty little move for them. I don't think that's a bad little partnership.
Nah, the tight end. Who they got, is it Graham? They got a tight end as well.
Yeah, they've got Graham there. And they got CJ Fedorowicz last year as well, who out of Iowa, who came on quite well, towards the end of the year. I think that's again you've got two guys who can do stuff there.
Yeah, well, like the only need they probably have is on the airline, but I mean, centre, you've only really got the Florida State kid, didn't you? Really, at centre at this stage. So I think unless a Parker or White falls this far and they just go all out for giving people to throw to, I think Collins is the way they go. Right, 17, James.
I'm delighted. I'm running my my card up to the podium and taking Todd Gurley. Best running back prospect to come out since
that's bullshit.
Since T-Rich.
Since T-Rich. Yeah,
He's got Marvin Gordon.
I'm with Junaid. Marvin Gordon's the best running back in this class.
I love that Junaid's just resorted to being a heckler at this point.
He's just jumping in wherever he can.
just saying things.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're getting a more complete player out of Gurley on the assumption he comes back healthy. The big difference for me between Gordon and Gurley, when you look at the tape, you see Gurley falls forward a lot more often. Gordon doesn't do that necessarily. Gordon looks quite weak against the run, whereas Gurley at least offers something in the run. At least he's willing, even if he's not very good. He's sneaky good out the backfield as well. He's not bad at, as a pass catcher. He's got some skills as well. For me, he edges it, but in terms of where they sit, one's 11, one's 16. They're both highly rated guys as far as I'm concerned. And Gurley's only 11 because of the injury risk. Really, otherwise he'd be a bit higher.
No, I absolutely agree with you. He's probably the best running back in this draft. Plus, he can be in the return game as well. Big difference. He can break them tackles in the return game compared to Gordon, which can't do that. So that's another plus for.
Yeah.
And plus that, catching out the backfield, Gordon still is not 100% there, where Gurley is the complete back in this draft. I'm not that bad.
Glad you agree with me that the Badger is not the best prospect.
I'm not that bad.
You are pretty bad.
18 Grant.
What team am I?
Chiefs.
Oh. Speaking of boring teams.
Alex Smith has got receivers to not throw touchdowns to.
Look who his coach is, Andy Reid, man.
I think Andy Reid's the type of chap that likes to bolster the trenches on either side, really. It might be a little bit early for Cam Irving. I know they've lost Asamoah last offseason and Rodney Hudson this offseason, so Irving might be a chap who's worthy of that. Randy Gregory as well. I mean, I know they've just franchised Houston. Harley's getting up there in years. D Ford looks like he's probably not going to work out. So having a guy with the physicality of Gregory is an interesting prospect. I'm going to go Pete. Eric Fisher's struggled on the right side of the line. Donald Stevenson's just a guy, and Pete's arguably got all the tools to play on the blind side. So I can see Reid going for that kind of value at 18.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pete. The sort of Stanford linemen, I mean, it just always seem to be in the top echelon. I'm on board with that pick.
I'm completely the other side of the fence with Pete. I just don't see it. I mean, he's a smart kid, slides quite nicely. you know, he looks like he's got some power, but his lower body just doesn't do it for me. I know some people think it's there, but he just seems to lean. You know, the technique's not there. He's just constantly leaning forward, like he doesn't feel like he's got that ability lower down in his frame. He just seems to constantly sort of push forward and sort of gets off balance quite a lot. And you look at some of the games, the UCLA tape last year was absolutely, you know, he was absolutely appalling, just getting pushed back the whole time. And you know, I've not seen a tackle end up on his feet, off his feet so regularly. You know, it's just I just have some real doubts about it. I just don't see it at all with him.
Anyone else? Any thoughts?
As part of that second tier of offensive tackles, well, basically anyone after Scherf and Collins, who's your guy then, James?
In terms of tackle, best pure tackle for me is probably either Eric Flowers or DJ Humphries. I quite like both of them. Flowers, again, you're drafting for you know, upside and potential more than you're actually drafting for a player. He's still a bit grabby, but you know what, DJ Humphries just good movement, just pushes people, just absolute monster in terms of the way he moves people forward. So it's really impressive. And again, you've got that versatility where he's clearly going to start at right tackle, but has some left tackle ability to him. So yeah, probably Humphries just over Flowers for me.
Cool.
Freddie, 19, Cleveland Browns once again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, I think this might be a reach on some people's boards, but do you think he'll go higher on draft day than some people think? I'm gonna go with Nelson Aguilar. I mean, he doesn't have the size as the other guys, but he's got the quickness, he's got the hands. He's an excellent route runner. He ran tons of different routes at USC in that USC system, and I just think you can do so much with him. You know, you can go inside, you can go outside. You know, he'd just be a great weapon for that offense.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. I think he's obviously had Lee last year, he had Woods a few years ago. He's far better than both of them coming out of SC. He's kind of like a bit of like a Reggie Wayne type player, I think. He could. I mean, that's a pretty big statement, but yeah, Aguilar is after White, Parker, and Cooper. I think he's the next one to go. Like I said, I think he could be someone who the Texans, maybe the Chiefs, if they wanted to decide to throw touchdowns this year, they might go for.
All the Chiefs touchdowns are going to Travis Kelce next year.
Probably. I mean, that was incredible. Like in the fantasy league, there was 12 teams. I think every single one of us had Bo at some point during the season, just hoping that week would be the week.
Cleveland's number one.
Yeah, and now we have him. Oh dear.
And they got Miles Austin as well.
Huh?
Have you guys signed Miles Austin as well?
No, he's gone now. He's off.
He's gone. They've got Dwayne and Brian Hartline now.
Yeah.
Hartline's actually not bad.
Hawkins and Travis Benjamin, who's gonna drop some more catches and.
Alright, who's number 20?
20 is Junaid. Philadelphia Ducks.
Deacon Armstead, Chip Kelly can't get Mariota, so he gets the second best player from Oregon, and revamps the defense, which was absolutely shit last year.
What about the other Oregon player, Fisher?
Yeah, I like him, but I don't think they'll take him that high.
No.
There is a lot of talk at the moment that he is going that. He's one of those players that is going to sneak into the first round now.
Yeah. The defense is just shaping up again, and they're letting go a lot of players. So Armstead makes the sense. Plus they play 3-4 anyway, to sort of fit into that system.
Yeah.
with Kruger on the outside and playing defensive tackle the end in some formations.
Yeah. No, I think it is one of the Ducks. Armstead makes sense, like you said, but Fisher is just he's athletic as you can be really in position. He's probably after Collins and Scherf, he's probably my favourite lineman. I think Jake Fisher is going to play above wherever he gets drafted.
I think he does. I mean, he obviously knows a bit of the system. He is a bit more athletic. Pairs quite nicely with a guy like Lane Johnson. It's a nice move.
Yeah. Right, I'm now on the clock with the Bengals.
Who they gonna beat the Bengals?
Do you think they go quarterback?
Definitely no.
Shit.
You can take Brett Hundley here.
Well, they're not going to take another first-round corner, are they? So, I mean,
I think they can just go best player available, really.
Yeah, I'll go Malcolm Brown for them.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go, Malcolm Brown. I think he's unlucky to fall out the top 20. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't think
I've got him ahead of Shelton, I think.
Yeah, I do.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah, I'm going
to go Malcolm without an Al Brown.
I think if I know Kendricks is off the board in our mark, but Kendricks is an option here. The Bengals linebacking core is probably one of the most unathletic groups of players in the league.
So Shaq maybe?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Gregory's still on the board here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play some off-the-board linebacker at some point.
He is the kind of guy that Marvin Lewis sort of would like to pick up. In terms of linebacker, they could be looking like at a Benadryl McKinney, who I think has been thoroughly underrated with this draft. Kendricks, for me, don't get me wrong, Kendricks probably is the top guy, but then Stephon Anthony and McKinney aren't far behind, really.
Yeah, I've just looked at their linebacking core, and that is not pretty. Can I change my pick? They got Emmanuel Lamore as their Sam linebacker. I don't even know who that is.
He had a hit in the mid '80s, a sort of real new romantics. It was.
Apparently now he's playing linebacker. He's 59 for the Bengals.
He's old for the Bengals. You can see him every Thursday night at the venue in New Cross. He does a little turn.
But why did they pick up AJ Hawk?
AJ Hawk was a huge spark guy back in the day.
Was he?
Yeah, he was an athletic freak, I believe.
He's one of my fancy players.
And then he came to Green Bay, ate loads of cheese, and then he went slow.
But like they have Ray Malaluga, and then decide to back him up with AJ Hawk. I mean, that's just
hometown player, isn't it? That's where it was.
How is it?
He's from that area. He's got a home there. So they brought him home.
Yeah, that is. That's right. That's not an impressive batch of
players. Is that the Macho Man decided to leave the NWO, isn't it? He goes and
yeah. Moving on. 22, Freddie.
I think I will go and Randy Gregory slide here and take him. He's still available, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just too talented for the Steelers to pass up on him. I mean, I know he's all these problems are coming out now, but there was at one point he's been talked about as a top 3 player. So I think they take a risk here. They need pass rushers, and yeah, I'd take Gregory.
The Souls made a fake account of Jim White.
Where?
On Twitter. It's called Sky wanted an expert to cover the draft, but couldn't get one, so they sent me. Draft Jim White.
What's the account called? What?
Draft Jim White.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, I wish I'd thought of this now.
I'm here in Chicago to cover the deadline day for the American game they call football. Stick them breaking news over the week. Who created it now?
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
Why?
I really should have thought of that first. Damn it.
Remember that someone made that other card, that UK Frenzy one, and then it like, disappeared and hibernated.
Am I on the clock now?
Yeah, if you want to be.
Great stuff.
Detroit Lions.
The Lions. Hmm. I think if Brown had been on the board, that would have been a worthy pick. I don't. Did Fairley leave in the end? Where did he go?
Yeah,
Did he
he
go to St. Louis, didn't he? Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous now.
Yeah, the Rams are just a very strange side. Very strange. I'd be tempted to go with, I know it might be a little bit early for him, but Jalen Collins. I think the Lions secondary has been probably the weaker part of that defense for a while. Rasheed Mathis is, despite being very good last year, incredibly old still, after he sort of disappeared off the map for a few years.
Yeah.
How the hell is he still in the league? He must be about 40.
He was the focal point of Mike Smith's Jacksonville defense back in the day.
The good old days.
Happier times for the poor lad. Yeah, corner's a huge need for them.
Yeah.
Corner's been a huge need for them for years, though. They just keep on, and you speak to Detroit fans, and they always sort of say, "Oh no, we're really, we're content with what we've got. There's a guy on the practice squad who the staff really like, and blah blah blah." You just think, well, that's great.
They get lit up every year and think, what? You get after corner, mate.
Especially, but Jalen Collins in that division as well would be a pretty nice fit, I think. Go up against the quarterbacks.
Yeah, basically no one wants to win the NFC North, so they gift it to the Packers every year. You keep making worse decisions for us. We keep going along.
I think the Vikings could be a real threat to that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Vikings probably the best chance. Especially if they fix their offensive line, it could be really a threat this year.
Yeah. But I think like with Collins, though, he's not even close to the finished product, I think.
No, I mean he is very raw, but he seems to be a guy with quite a wide range to him. That there's some people who seem to think he could, he's barely a second-round pick. There's others that think he could reach the top 20. I mean, for me, this is his sort of range. This is where you start looking at him. That makes a lot of sense.
I think having that veteran presence with Mathis there could be very beneficial to him. And they signed Josh Wilson in the offseason, who's a solid veteran as well. So I think putting him in that kind of environment is probably the best way for him to enter the league, to be honest. You can't just throw him into the fire.
No, exactly. Add him there with a bit of heat, bring him on slow.
Yeah. 20, where are we? 24?
24.
Arizona, James?
I think
you taking the Badger?
I am going to take the Badger. I think it's the obvious pick. For me, it comes down to that, maybe a right tackle. But much more value in Melvin Gordon at this place. It gives them their sort of every down back again that they sort of need. Like that sort of proper bell cow, which you're not necessarily getting with Ellington there. It's that's a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah, they seem to hope that he would be that, but he just kept breaking down, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, save him for what he's good at, and really just sort of put him where you need him. Use him as a sort of scat back if you need to. Throw him out. Throw him in the slot every now and again. You can do a lot with him. I think he's a real talent, but leave the sort of the meat and potato running to the court, because I think that's what he's good at.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty easy pick. I mean, it depends what. I mean, because obviously they lost Dockett. I mean, they could look to replace him, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on what's floating around there. I mean, should someone like Malcolm Brown start to slip, whether they want to do something with a guy like Preston Smith, maybe. The world's got a bit quiet on him at the moment after a lot of early praise.
What about the UCLA kid? Or Mugby Diggy?
Diggy Zua?
Yeah.
For me, I see him more as a 4-3 end. I think he's the kind of guy who can be there, sort of instant run stuffer, and can develop as a pass rusher. He's sort of in that sort of tweener, but the other way, as to where you can either chunk him up and stick him at 5 tech, or you can put him in that even front as that sort of left defensive end, really.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any thoughts?
No, probably right. They go running back or they go offensive line.
Yeah. Janae, 25.
Eric Flowers, Miami. They're you. So about they're you. Because they need to protect Cam Newton, to be honest.
Yeah, and they signed Owen, didn't they?
Well, Michael can't do nothing. He's only got the blind side. That's his all his legacy. The legacy is blind side.
Didn't they give him a pretty hefty contract though?
They gave him more than he was worth, for sure.
They watched the blind side and
Byron,
give him extra money.
and they got Byron Bell on the other side, who was just a turnstile in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even the Falcons could get a pass rush against that offensive line.
I think that's the main hope. If the rookie's going to get any sacks, it'll be against the Panthers. I could see them doing wide receiver as well, to be fair. I mean, they got Calvin last year, but there is nothing else alongside him.
Did anyone see that picture of Calvin yesterday?
No.
He's put on some timber.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't look in the game. I mean, I know it's popcorn and kettle black here, but he didn't look game ready. That's for certain. Not like that picture of Gudongan the other year, but yeah, he was carrying a bit of extra timber, I think.
Yeah, I think Flowers, or if they get wide receiver, Rashard Perryman looks like the guy they could take. So another big wide out to go alongside Benjamin on the other side. But he's a good player and everything, but his drops are a big worry.
That's fair enough. 26, Baltimore, me. I'm taking the UCLA kid, Diggy Zua.
Yeah, might be a little bit high, but on the whole,
they could go wide receiver Perriman, or maybe they reach for someone like Devin Smith or something, just give him a deep threat to replace Torres. But I think you put him next to Canty and Brandon Williams and all that. And Jernigan, obviously, they went with him early last year. So yeah, I think Diggy.
I think Adigizua has been getting a lot of good press the past few weeks as well. There's been a lot of people talking him up as potentially a top 15 guy.
Yeah, I don't see that. I thought that, but he's always seemed to be in the right place. And like UCLA defense was hit and miss at times, but
it really was.
I mean, they were relying on the running back and linebacker, weren't they, with Kendricks and Miles Jack and all that. But yeah, I think these are in that defense as well. He will create space for whoever they've got outside. 27, Freddie.
Cowboys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I would have gone Gordon here, but as he's gone, I think it probably has to be cornerback. And seeing as I'm a massive homer, I will take Kevin Johnson from Wake Forest. I just think, Morris Claiborne's been a massive disappointment. Brandon Carr's horrendously overpaid. I can't think who else they've got other than Scandrick there. And
defensive line could be another position.
Sorry?
I said, if they don't get quarterback, defensive line is probably another position to look at.
Yeah, I mean they drafted DeMarcus Lawrence last year, so they're probably hoping he puts it together. I think they've got Jeremy Menzies a decent filler for now. I mean they can probably take a pass rusher in the second round. I think just cornerback for the moment is probably more desperate need.
Yeah, I think as well with a guy like Johnson as well. As we were saying earlier, he does have that potential that if you need to use him at safety, you can, and that might be quite attractive for Dallas as well at the moment.
Yeah. Moving on, 28, Grant.
28. We are
Denver, I think.
the Broncos. Interesting. I think the Broncos are a little bit further away than they probably hoped to be in Peyton Manning's last season. I think O-line's probably the way I'd go with this. They lost Franklin in the off-season. Clady's not really himself anymore. I'd be tempted to go Jake Fisher for the versatility there. Probably starting him off at guard and then potentially shift him outside if he develops as they hope.
Yeah. What about the Irvin?
Irvin was probably the other consideration that I'd have there. But I can see Chris Myers ending up in Denver if they've still got a need there.
Well, I'm hoping to see they've still got Myers on speed dial.
I think it's one of those two places, isn't it? I think he's probably just waiting to see how it falls.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we didn't give the money to Wisniewski, but never mind.
It's a strange one, mate. I think he must have some lingering injury issues if he's been out there for that long.
Yeah, well, he signed for Jacksonville, didn't he, for like 2 years, $8 million or something?
Some really small figure.
Yeah, that's what made it strange. I thought something they'd pay. James, Colts.
Well, with all the pressure of Ollie Dawes sort of hanging over us as we
just pick Shane Ray. Just pick Shane Ray.
The temptation is to go Shane Ray or delve in Eric Flowers, who I also know he's super high on.
Demarius Randall. Do it.
Demarius Randall seems to be the latest, but yeah, maybe we'll go Randall. I think it's probably going to be somewhere on the D line. I'm actually going to go Preston Smith with this one just because he's a guy I really like. I think he fits quite nicely there. Yeah, I mean he's a quality player. He struggles. He's not brilliant against playing pass. He looks a bit slow, but good, excellent hand. Looks to have good instincts once he gets going. Reacts really well to offensive linemen. He's a bit of a project, but I think that's fine. I think you get good value from here at 20.
That was the main thing I got when I watched him was how good he is with his hands.
Yeah.
He's like, he just puts them on the chest and it's sometimes game over. It is pretty impressive, consistently as well.
Yeah, I mean, the other option here is a guy, for that sort of position would be a guy like, I guess, Jordan Phillips, but I'd take Smith over Phillips every time, really.
Yeah. Junaid?
Who's picking? I mean, Green Bay. I'll take the defensive player. cornerback. All the good ones have gone, so I'll take but McKinney. I'll go McKinney here. We need inside linebacker. Inside linebacker group is shit. You got no one that can go in space. You got Clay Matthews, but he's an outside linebacker. And you got Sam Barrington. Brad Jones has finally been caught after 10 years.
Diving in on John Ryan's feet.
Well, forget him, man. Don't talk about Brad Jones. White. All records I think he's white from your team. Yeah, so I'll go inside linebacker. From Mississippi.
What about the Clemson kid? Stefan Anthony?
Yeah, I like him, but I like him in round 2 more. But I prefer McKinney. I think he's the most suited for what we do.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that that was the one you were keen in on, was Anthony over McKinney and Kendricks. He was the one athletically that you were falling for. That was a few weeks ago, so it might have changed. But
I think in the draft, Ted Thompson might take a cornerback if there is one there, because we already got Sam Shields at 50 million, so
yeah,
we need to find someone.
I think with Anthony, you get a guy who can also slip in at outside linebacker as well. I think he's got that versatility. You can move him around, especially if in a 4-3. You can definitely just shift him about a lot. I think his only issue for me is he needs to control his aggression a little bit. He gets very eager at times. But for me, I have just over McKinney, but they're both very close.
Yeah, 31 Saints. It's probably going to be wide receiver or tight end. So it's Smith, Perriman, Dorset, maybe. But I think how sad Breeze sounds and looks with no Jimmy Graham. I think I'm going to go Max Williams. Give him another tight end. They got Cooks coming back. They've still got Colston knocking around. He's probably got a year or two, maybe a bit more left. So I think Max Williams.
Yeah, I think they definitely need another big body guy. Someone like Dorset, I don't think could really be much of a fit there. If Dorial Green Beckham's probably the pick here for me. Just he seems the perfect fit for what the Saints are trying to do. You can make him that sort of matchup nightmare that Graham obviously possessed beforehand.
Yeah, he's got a better that quarterback as well to sort of guide him.
Yeah, I think Breeze isn't the type of guy that's going to stand for much shit in his locker room.
No, he seems actually short though in his recent interviews with no Jimmy. I've also been watching it.
They're basically trying to get rid of everyone. They get rid of everyone. Get ready for
who else did they get rid of? Look at their team. Apart from wide receiver and tight end, it's not too bad. They paid Ingram, didn't they? So that's sorted for a few years.
They're playing the team next year with that Drew Brees.
They're asking people to turn
I think Spiller's a nice addition to the Saints as well.
Yeah. 32, Freddie.
Yeah, Patriots. I'm a bit stumped on this one, to be honest, because I think they could go in a number of directions.
Do you know who?
I mean, they probably need a cornerback after Brown went. I'm quite tempted to just go with Devin Smith because of the Mark connection, but and I guess they could go maybe Cameron Irving, someone on the line. I mean, someone who's versatile, who can play a number of positions. I think I'll do Byron James actually. Also, he's from Connecticut as well, so it's yeah. I think I will go with James.
Yeah. So who have they got at corner now with no Revis and Browner? They just got Arrington and the guy who made the interception?
And
I think they've
Denard
got
as well.
McLean, Robert McLean, I think.
Yeah, Robert McLean's on there this off-season.
Yeah. Logan Ryan, maybe.
You got
Yeah.
Yeah.
The players that eat better. So what does everyone think of the mock we've done then?
Excellent.
No shame.
Yeah, I
no
think,
shame.
I think we nailed it. I think probably just get down the bookies, get all of that on. That'll be.
No shame.
I think
No shame, right?
I think we can all definitely be sure we don't know anything that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I feel like we say this every time we do this, but this year just seems so unpredictable.
Because we don't know what's happening with Mariota at 2, and like you look at all of the experts drafts, and they're all just a little bit just sort of smiling benignly, just sort of saying, oh well, we don't know what's going to happen this year. It's been quite good. I think it's actually kept everyone a bit more honest about it, because it's completely clueless what's happening. Normally you assume, by 4 or 5 it starts getting a bit crazy. Here it's getting mental from the, as soon as Winston's gone. It's a complete lottery. It's just a 31 pick lottery. I think whilst the players aren't particularly fascinating, it's looking like it's going to be really interesting from a sort of team perspective this time.
Yeah, basically after the number 1 pick, no one else. The trade 2013 was it? When Matt Lee got traded up, the Vikings traded, then the Dallas traded up, then the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up, Tampa traded up, or traded back, I think it was. We had about 10 teams trade back forward.
So who would you put in to trade up for Mariota? Eagles?
Cleveland Browns.
Do you think the Jets would, or the Rams?
Nah, the Rams weren't.
I think I was saying I did a podcast for Pigskin Podcast on Sunday, and I was saying there that the assumption when that Bradford, Bulls, Eagles, Rams trade went down was that Bradford was the trade fodder for draft day. It might turn out to be Foles as the draft fodder. I mean, he's not, obviously the value's not great there, but if they look at giving up a first this year, first next year, and Foles to the Titans, that might be enough to deal with it. I don't think we're going to be talking in RG3 levels of picks to move around this time.
No. So if the Falcons moved up, Grant, who do you think they would look for? Do you think they'll go for Beasley or?
I'd like them to be going for Beasley, but I think they'd probably be moving up for Fowler. Just that Quinn connection from the Florida days. And I think Fowler comes in a little bit more ready to play against the run.
Beasley's going to fall out in the first round, according to Kuiper and Uche. So.
Oh, that was absolutely bonkers.
I don't get that.
It's going to be a good draft. Falcons are going to get Fowler in the first, Beasley in the second.
It's alternate tree front all over again, just doubling up on your positions in need.
I think it could be an actual possibility. Not the Beasley part, but the doubling up.
So who would you have in the second?
A guy like Preston Smith.
Shane Ray?
In the second, I'd take Shane Ray. just not at number 8.
Yeah, well, I mean, my big hope is that the Falcons do take Ray at 8, just to
see a meltdown.
Giants taking it. Hot talk at the moment is we're I checked my phone at lunchtime today, and the morning papers at Shane Ray and Andrews Pete. Imagine my fucking delight. Two favourite players going into this draft at the top of the top.
Not my idea.
Yeah, well, no matter what happens, we'll always have Jim White, I suppose.
Well, if ever there was an advert to go out and buy NFL Network, it's the prospect.
Yeah.
Oh, he's following me on Twitter now. Flash him out.
So is everyone following all the people who tip the picks and stuff? Or
I think they've been told not to do it this year again.
Yeah, I'm just going to block Lakenfora is the only one that actually decides to be a dick.
I don't even think I've refollowed JLC since last year.
No, I've not. I've kept off there, and I feel my life's a little bit richer for not having.
him and is it Bray, the network guy?
Yeah.
Well, I followed him during the college football season, so I can troll him. But I couldn't do it this year.
Right, chaps, I need to run, so I'll probably speak to you all on Twitter tomorrow, lads.
Yeah.
Right, see you guys tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Cool. I'm gonna boost as well. See you guys. Have a good draft. Enjoy Christmas tomorrow, and yeah.
You might go.